And now I will call to stage the CEO of Air Serbia, Mr. Jirzi Marek. So, Mr. Marek has been the CEO of Air Serbia since January 2022. He has joined the company in 2019 to lead the airline's commercial and strategy segment of the company. Before joining Air Serbia, Jirzi held a senior post at a lot of Polish airlines, handling distribution. He was the chief commercial officer and board member of Czech Airlines as well. Mr. Marek, thank you for being here. Thank you for hosting the IATA event.
Thank you for the invitation, and I would like to also praise all the organizers. I'm really positively surprised how many people are here, and I think it's just giving the IATA another sign that they should not forget about this region, and in the name of diversity and inclusion, we should be included in more future IATA events here, even the more global ones.
And the facts and figures speak to themselves because Air Serbia currently operates the youngest regional fleet of around 24 aircraft, if I am up to date, because the situation is evolving constantly. You have around 1,400 employees. You have introduced a lot of new destinations, 22 of them in this year compared to 37 new destinations in the past 2 years combined. Preliminary financial results saw the company's profit of 22.4 million euros in the first 6 months to encompass the entirety of profit for last year to basically overcome it as well. So mid-September, Air Serbia announced that it has broken the figure of 3 million passengers carried, with an ambition to finish this year with 3.5 million passengers transported. Will you surpass that number come December 31st?
As you rightly mentioned, we are very dynamic, so we are a bit outdated in terms of number of aircrafts and also the number of passengers. I think that we can already securely say that 3.5 million we will reach already within the October. So I think that definitely this year we will break the new record and it will be over 4 million.
So let's dive right into it. Myself being a journalist, I would like to first quickly cover the two most important things that are happening today. Currently, our entire government is in China, and all the ministers, they are negotiating a free trade agreement with China. Will that somehow reflect on Air Serbia, especially because it is not as frequently mentioned that you have significant cargo capacity in the underbelly of all of your aircraft, specifically in the long-range ones. So will this free trade agreement anyhow uptake your cargo operation?
I apologize, I will first test. If I'm sitting like this, am I here or I should always do this?
The sound guy said you can just relax and...
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's totally
perfect.
Cool.
So look, I mean, we recognize the importance of the China market even before this agreement will be concluded. It's important, our development market for our next strategy. We have currently secured during the summer already the traffic rights for Guangzhou and Shanghai, and it's just a matter of time when we get the third and fourth wide body that those destinations will be launched. However, this potential will be now further increased because this agreement will have definitely positive effect, especially on the cargo perishables. I strongly believe that raspberries, which are known here in Serbia, have a high potential in China because Chinese people are very, let's say, have affinity for high quality fruits. I was surprised during our last visit in China that one of the most delicious cargo is actually the cherry, which are shipped from Chile, which is across the world. So I think definitely this agreement has very positive effect to grow up potential, which is already there.
And one of the key roles of the national airline, like a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers, is evacuation flights. We had a certain pandemic where Air Serbia played a key role by literally providing the only transportation lifeline, and now you have done it again with the latest unfortunate war situation in Israel. I'm reading that the media have reported that you have transferred more than 1,000 passengers, not only for Serbia, but to several neighboring countries as well.
So at the moment we continue to operate our scheduled operation. We have 4 weekly flights, and on top of that we organize 2 humanitarian flights, repatriation flights. One was on behalf of Serbian government, the other was on behalf of North Macedonian government, including a couple of other cooperation within the region. Today we have another flight. We are daily monitoring the situation. We are in contact with all related authorities and security agencies. Every day there is a new risk assessment maintained, and as long as situation will allow, we will continue the scheduled operation.
Also, again, me being a journalist, I would like to start this session with basically this summer season and ask you what happened in June? What happened with Air Serbia's network, its base operations? What were the causes and the repercussions, and also the literally unrecorded figures of all manners of operations, not just yours, but also the airports?
Look, I think that that was a moment where we need to take 1 week to reset our summer operation, because the clear answer is that many things happen at the same time, and it created the domino effect. If it will be everything in isolation, we can deal with it, and we were planning for that within our buffer. But at that moment, everything happened at the same time as a domino effect, being the late deliveries of the aircraft, lack of unoperated delivery of the wet lease aircraft, lack of manpower in the supply supportive function, and on top of that was basically, which was very unusual this year, from April till basically end of May, almost every second day we have the fueling ban, which actually I would like to take opportunity here to thanks to Civil Aviation Authority of Serbia, because they started the initiative of doing the new study which will address these options, that there might be some positive adjustment in that matter in maybe next couple of months. All this combined basically meant that we had to reset a bit for the summer and take the different approach, different initiatives. We also hired additional resources and help airport together to try to get through the summer. And I think that also our customers can recognize that August was already relatively stable, and September and October we are almost back to normality. A couple of days ago, actually, there was released a study that the delays in Europe this year are 400% more. So it's just, you know, we see it here maybe from the Balkan perspective, but since we are hub-and-spoke carrier, when you get basically delay either on departure on or return from the Europe because of your network, which is planned for connectivity, you have the domino effect. So for example, one fueling ban, which will affect, let's say, the afternoon wave by 2-3 hours, it will have the domino effect also to the next day, which is difficult to understand for the people which are not from the industry, because you need basically usually 1-2 days to recover from that.
So let's dig into Air Serbia's current fleet strategy to update my data. Things are going so good that you extended some of your summer ACMI contracts. It has been even reported that Air Serbia is one of the top 15 ACMI users globally. You have your third Embraer inbound and about to use him as a long-awaited gap filler. Why all these, and what do you fleet-wise see as a motivating factor moving forward? Fleet-wise, I mean, I was reading something the other day which really surprised me. It's unrelated, but maybe related, that fleet comparison, if we were to do a fleet comparison between Air Serbia and, for instance, Air Baltic, correct me if I'm wrong, but your fleet is half the size of theirs, but your business performance are way better. I mean, you have more than 1.5 million passengers more. So all of that regarding the fleet strategy, how are you keeping up with all of that?
Look, I will start from the end, so I think it will still need a bit maybe deeper look and deeper study, but we usually compare ourselves as like strategical ambition to Air Baltic and Aegean. So we were using those airlines as an example where we want to go and to take part of their strategies. And it's true that last 3 months, basically during summer season, we are achieving higher passenger numbers than Air Baltic. It's definitely not yet 1.5 million more, but during the Q3 and every single month, we had more passenger numbers. On the strategy, on the fleet, I think we should look at the difference between mid-term, long-term, and short-term. In the short-term, basically, situation on the market is getting, let's say, from the bad to worse in terms of the aircraft availability and especially the supply chain. Let's say in 2019, it was already critical in terms of the supply chain on spare parts. But for example, from one of our regional aircraft at that time, the list of critical part meaning that if you have the problem with that part, you might wait even 6 to 12 months for that part.
And you waited a lot in the summer season.
Well, I will get to that, but let's say in 2019, that list was 1 page. And now that list is 4 pages. So everybody just prays that you will not get that part which is on that list missing. Currently, the biggest issue is the landing gears, and 2 of our ATRs were delayed because of the landing gear. Through, let's say, Q1, we are supposed to get 3 additional ATR. We have actually a representative of Lesser here. So I hope that those landing gears will be done. I know it's not on you, it's on Shafran, but this is a critical problem which is growing. And on top of that now, engine issue on the new technology, which is putting the additional disruption to the market. So even the airline, like legacy carriers like Air France, Lufthansa, are widely using now the wet lease because it's a way how you can overcome, let's say, those shortages. For us, let's say we will continue to develop the Airbus fleet and ATR fleet, and currently the regional fleet, like this kind of crossover, how you would call it, we are doing through the wet lease via Marathon. And as you notice, it's not typical wet lease, it's more going towards the CPI model, which is used in the US. So the aircraft is in livery of Air Serbia. We are currently working on the dump lease option. So basically cabin crew will be Air Serbia. We are looking also some other function which we can synchronize, maybe OCC control and so on, in order to make it as much as seamless towards our own product. As I mentioned, 3 ATRs are already contracted, should come in Q1, subject to the issues on the market with the spare parts, because they go now through the maintenance check. We are exploring additional 3 320s, but again, the market is now very volatile because the aircraft, if they are supposed to be returned, the current operator are extending because of the problem with the NEO engines, which will last most likely 4 to 5 years. And same situation is on 330 market. We are currently having some lead for additional units, but I don't want to anticipate when it will come. From our perspective, as soon as we conclude the deal, they should be here. So we are trying to get them as soon as possible.
The current destination strategy it does not even remotely resemble the route structure of One Famous yet. You overcame it. Finally have the full stack of plane size options to experiment. Are you gonna stop now and enjoy the profit, or like totally not? What is your route strategy going forward?
Look, the aviation in general is a growing gross market, so you have to grow. You cannot stop, because if you stop, there is a free market, free competition. Somebody else will grow and take your market, and your profitability will be jeopardized. So definitely, we will continue to grow. I think that we reach now the critical mass of destinations that main focus will be on densification, improving the connectivity, which we already foresee in, let's say, this summer, where historically we used to have like 25 to 28% transfer traffic, and now we are reaching almost 40%. So any new destination naturally will get a feed from the network, and it can grow. And I think also for the airport, it's important that if you look, there is at the moment almost none of the point-to-point destination missing from the Belgrade. There is significant number of direct flights, and even the latest, let's say, Wizz Air expansion was mostly going on the existing destination, not on the new destination. So it's just demonstrating that there is already lack of point-to-point potential new destination. So any new destination will need to rely on the hub carrier, which will provide the connectivity in a network. For example, if you will be opening something like Tbilisi or Baku or Yerevan, those destinations don't have enough point-to-point demand, and they will need to rely on the feed from our network. So it will indicate you the next development strategy will be mostly on, let's say, the longer sectors route, which will rely on the regional connectivity.
current, so when you and I talked in the past, you started to talk about being on the verge to end somehow the dramatic shift in seasonality. What do you project for this winter, barring additional fuel hikes, fuel price hikes? What could we expect in that notorious winter season and your seasonality situation now?
Look, to address the seasonality was always in our, let's say, strategy to address it. And only, I think, the last winter, which was basically 2022, 2023, we've been for the first time able to prove that putting the wider network portfolio into the winter built on connectivity makes sense, because we've been profitable every single month through the winter season. We were operating over 70% load factor, and for us 70% is more or less break-even operation. And based on that, we are expanding even more for this winter. So historically, there was always big difference between summer and winter, around 50%. We are getting now almost to the level already only 30% difference. So, and it will continue forward, especially if we develop also more long-haul flights. For example, China has in a way some more flat seasonalities and North American routes. So this will all go only in the direction that the seasonality will start to be more flattened. Always there will be summer peak with the charter demand, which is still very strong, but we are addressing that also first time this year, that some of those destinations we are transforming into the schedule, and with that also you are extending the seasonality. So all these destinations which we transferred to the schedule operation, instead of being just from 15th of June to 15th of September, they've been basically starting already mid-May, and some of them still till mid-October.
Could we very quickly turn back to some of the destination load factor records and break-evens that would be interesting to mention for maybe also the mainstream audience, but for professionals as well? What are the few destinations that have surprised you with their load factors and their break-even point, and later on?
The IATA is about the cooperation, but we have also a lot of competitors in the room, so I will not talk about the break-even. But definitely what surprised us, I think the biggest surprise was Lisbon. Even it was expected, but Lisbon, which we start in April, it turned to be like immediately sold out and very high load factors. That's why we also increase the frequencies for the winter, which is kind of unusual. You operate two in summer and you're increasing for the winter, but it just indicates that we plan to grow on that market and on that destination. Also, we are opening now the Porto, which gives us more courage because of seeing the success of the Lisbon, and the schedule is built in a way that you can actually combine both destinations, so we don't operate on the same days. What was also surprising, I would say unexpectedly, was Izmir, because Izmir, we were looking into it already for some years, and we were not sure, but then in discussion with Turkish Airlines, we decided that both of us, like Andalujet and us, will open it, and that destination also performed extremely well. So I would say those two I would highlight, because all the others was, I would say, in a way, we can tell no-brainers. That was very clear that they will work.
So a lot of data, a lot of milestones that are overachieved. When I was doing my own reporting, I found an Eurocontrol chart that could maybe illustrate some of the points that we are discussing today. So it's like an objective source. Could we please pull up the Eurocontrol chart that you can now see on your screens, on the screen? So could you interpret this hockey stick thing that we are seeing and explain it to us?
Well, I think you told it at the beginning with all the numbers you presented. Basically, this market is always was set to grow much more than the rest of the Europe. Even IATA forecasting this region to grow 8% organically. And if we are hub and spoke, we will grow more than organic growth, because we will grow on all the regions via Belgrade. I think this just demonstrates that the demand is there after the COVID, and if you are able to deploy fast enough the capacity and act, you will benefit from that. So I think that it clearly demonstrates that we are operating almost in average 40% above 2019. We will be reaching the record-breaking passenger numbers and record profitability. And especially if you see the rest of the year, I hope that our supply chain colleagues will not get scared of this growth, but it's basically showing you this is what we discussed about the seasonality. We need to address the seasonality, which was always in the winter very very difficult in this region.
So you cannot comment on the business performance going forward, like for next year. All the figures and all things need to happen yet. But could you hint what are your goals are? You just mentioned some of them. Near to midterm, how do you plan to handle, pun intended, the summer season of 2024?
Look, I would rather look beyond 2024 because I think whoever is here now visiting from the region or his first time in Belgrade and you see how the city is expanding, it will continue to grow dramatically, and especially what we see as a kind of milestone is Expo 27, where it's just around the corner. Those 3 years will run very fast, and there is forecasted that there will be more than 3 million visitors between the May and August, which is extreme pressure not only on us, on the airport, on everybody. And it's not only Expo, because before that there will be a lot of preparation. Next summer season in Europe will be also very demanding. You have Olympics, you have footballs, you have so many other things also in a peak of the summer. So I think there will be a lot of challenges ahead. So we definitely will continue to grow. Situation on the market is not easy in terms of the spare parts. Supply chain is getting worse and worse, actually. Engine issue, everything like that. We are in a way lucky because we operate on the matured, let's say, technology, but that technology is now more demanded on the market. So that might create some issues. We expect the next year around 15-20% growth, but it's hard to say because I think what was proven during the COVID by us that to be fast, agile, and quickly react on the market, it gives a benefit. So even if I'm now telling that we will want to grow 15-20%, if the situation on the market change and we will be able to contract aircraft faster, we are more than happy to take those opportunities because, as I mentioned, the demand is there. If we will put there more capacity, more aircraft, we will still achieve the same results. So definitely we are working internally very fast to be ready for the growth. We currently hired, let's say, opened the tender for new recruit for the pilots for both type-rated, non-type-rated. We have internally started to promote our existing pilots for the captain positions, and I'm happy to see there is a lot of young faces, most likely from the Aviation Academy. Air Serbia will continue to grow, and we want to be attractive employer, and whoever want to grow their career, please contact our HR. We are definitely in a hiring mood.
Also, again, being a journalist and trying to now extract some news from you, we are gathered here on the first decade of the national airline under its current name. Your actual birthday is 26th of October. We saw a lot of promotional activities. Do you have, I heard maybe that there's an event coming next year as well. What is cooking in your kitchen there?
Look, I will not anticipate many of these, but I think that we are definitely, decade is a significant milestone where we need to look what was achieved. And I think the best description is that we basically will end the year more or less 3 times bigger than at the time when Air Serbia started. So the last year of 2012 before Air Serbia, actually even like significant part of 2013, because Air Serbia started in October, it was 1.2 million passengers transported. And I think at that time, even the brightest, let's say, analysts would not, let's say, forecast that 10 years later, we will be able to have the size we are, to have almost 4 million passengers. So especially, let's say, last 2 years was very challenging. And I think internally we have to thank all the colleagues because there is no more summer, winter, where after summer you feel that you will get some extra time and you will relax and get ready for the next summer because the speed of the work significantly increase. We are very efficient now because we are achieving this result with much more heavy, let's say, administration stuff. And many people actually, you know, some of them already complain that it's too high speed of the work, but it's what is aviation about. You have to be constantly, let's say, on top of the market. You have to be very dynamic, see what's happening, and you have to react on it. So I think we will try definitely from management perspective to continue to be very attractive employer. We will continue to grow. We have big ambitions ahead of us, and I think the next decade will be mostly about the long-haul expansion, positioned strongly still more as a wider Balkan, let's say, leading regional operator. Densification of the network will be the main prime. There will still be some new destination. We have the ambition to have 100 destinations by our 100th anniversary. It might happen earlier, but look, I will not really open up what's expected for the next week. Don't expect any big announcement, but I think there will be some nice surprises.
So something will happen next week.
Indeed.
Let's wait and see. Thank you, Jirzi, thank you. So, like I told you at the opening address, we will open up the floor now. At the end of each panel, you will have the opportunity to interact with our panelists. Currently now, Mr. Marek. So, if there are any questions, we have mics on both sides of the hall, and if you have any questions for Mr. Marek, please feel free to ask. If there are more questions, we will select the best ones, and the best one will win a Air Serbia diecast model. So maybe even because of that, no questions currently. Oh, we have one. Yeah, let's. And please introduce yourself.
Oh, yes. Hello, I'm Marko Zrakovic. Nice to meet you all. Mr. Marek, one very tricky question, let's say. How you decide and why you decide to choose Embraer 190 and 195 as the gap filler for the fleet? Why Embraer? It was completely surprised many of, many of aviation analysts. Why you choose Embraer instead of Airbus? Thank you very much.
Well, Airbus has not really capacity in that portfolio because 318 I would not, let's say, count as a reliable, let's say, aircraft to fill up this gap. So you have only option between the Embraer and A220. And if you really look on the airlines which are operating A220s, those are most single fleet airline like Air Baltic, where they are taking the benefits of that aircraft on the long reach of that aircraft. While we need the aircraft which will feed our hub, so we don't need the long-range aircraft in that matter. And all the airlines which are actually feeding the hub, let's say being KLM, being Austrian and so on, they go for Embraer because that aircraft fit better for that purpose. Important is the ownership costs. A220 or even Embraer E2 for airline of our size, feeding the hub is too high ownership cost. And the benefit which you will get with a lower DOC, like direct operating cost, which is, let's say, between 80–20% cheaper, it will not offset the higher ownership cost, so it doesn't make any sense. So for us, at the stage of development where we are, E1 matured aircraft is a perfect fit.
Thank you for the question. Any other? Yes, we have the most read aviation news outlet in English language, Mr. Luka Popovic of XU Aviation News.
Thank you for the introduction. I wanted to ask, whenever an airline grows very quickly, sometimes the onboard service experience gets put on another side. So I wanted to ask you, what have you done or what do you plan to do in terms of the passenger experience on board your aircraft?
Look, I think you raise the right questions, and I think it's a bit wider, let's say, answer to that, because on one hand, if you grow, let's say, rapidly up, it's very important if your supply chain is able to cope with that growth, and especially on some of the services where usually you have monopoly provider and there is a certain difficulties. We definitely have the high focus on the onboard product. We want to improve it. Currently this year we introduce actually the sandwich option free of charge on the flights which are above 2 hours 45 minutes. We also looking into options now how we will improve the let's say shorter sectors. We are working currently on the options to change what we currently have, like this Noblica and the chips. We believe that we can maybe from December or January, introduce there something. And we will definitely continue to have the focus on that. We also reintroduce the amenity kit on the long-haul flights. I think we are one of the few which are still offering the pyjamas on request on the long-haul flights. So definitely we will continue to work on the soft product. One thing is what you want to do and what you wish to do, and the second thing is what your suppliers can deliver. And there is at the moment the biggest bottleneck which we want to address, but that change cannot happen overnight.
Thank you for the answer. Any more questions? Yes, we have one more right there. Please introduce yourself.
Mešanović. As you stated before, you are probably going to leave Etihad guest frequent flyer program. And what are the latest developments in addressing that issue and creating your own or joining another already existing program?
We are evaluating many options. We were evaluating the Miles and Smiles from Turkish. We are evaluating also offer from Air France KLM. At the moment, we are more inclining towards our own development. However, we have many other priority projects which are in the pipeline. So we believe that within 2024, we might have some solution, but most likely we are inclining now towards our own product to be developed.
Thank you.
On the left.
We have one more over there.
My name is Biljana Nedeljković. We know that the partnership of Air Serbia and Etihad Airways is finished. So do you looking for a new strategic partner right now?
We are not looking at the moment. Of course, I cannot talk on behalf of shareholders. They might have the different vision, but as the airline, our strategy is to cooperate with everybody with whom we can, where it makes sense. As you can see, we are cooperating with Air France, KLM on one hand, with the Turkish on the other hand, and with Qatar, all from different alliances, and we have no issue with that. So anybody who would like to cooperate with us, we are definitely most and welcome, and especially because this is a regional forum, we are very open for expanding the regional cooperation. Also, hopefully, now Montenegro with becoming the IATA, let's say, member, having the status, we hope that we can work on co-chair very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going really nicely with the questions. Can we have one more, or we are done? Thank you. So, of course, Luka will not get an aircraft model. He has too many of them. I would like to award to Mr. Mešanović. I like the last name, but the question as well. So you will get a A330 Air Serbia diecast model. Mr. Marek, thank you so much for this fireside chat of sorts. Thank you all for attending this first panel, but we continue. Thank you.
If I can just closing statement. So one more time, thanks for organizing. Thanks for really, let's say, wide participation. Again, I would like to call on IATA if even the small regions, small airlines, even growing airlines, still small, if we can be included more in all the IATA activities, because we believe that this region has strongest growth potential from the Europe. And I can also mention at least one surprise I can tell you, not about the birthday, but we would like to work as the Air Serbia to bring here more aviation-related events. And in very far still, November 24, Belgrade been selected to host the Kappa World Aviation Summit, which is a big event. And this year it's in Abu Dhabi. Next year in November will be hosted in Belgrade. So
that's news. That's news. Congratulations. Very quickly to plug our own conference that will happen next March, 19th and 20th of March. The Southeast Europe Aviation Summit will return to its fourth iteration. So we will have a lot of aviation events coming to us next year. Thank you, Mr. Marek, once again.